Happy afternoon, wherever you are on whatever day you're watching this, or happy day in general. Hi, my name is Robin Da Vinci, and I am a boomer and I do apologies. And one of the things I want to apologize for is the crazy real estate market. It is driven by things that most people don't understand, and it's hard to comprehend how much we have to do to get into a house. So I'm just going to explain a few things in a few minutes because I'm not an economist, sorry. I'm not an economist, nor am I a real estate agent or broker, but I've been around a long time through the ups and downs of the real estate market, a long time. And I have gone with my business into a downturn because the real estate market in which my clients invested turned around and became pretty bad. So I want to tell you a few things. You probably are wondering what the hell is going on during COVID and why so many people are buying houses and why are they buying houses when the price seems so high. It's a really legitimate question, and I want to just answer a few things simply. Number one, when real estate is high, it usually means the interest rate is low. So you'll hear the term seller's market. Now, there's more things that go into it, but a seller's market means that they can sell their home at a higher price because you can afford a payment with a lower interest rate. So the price might be inflated on the house, but because your interest rate is so low, you can afford a bigger mortgage at the lower interest rate. Now, what you have to be prepared for is the fine print of the mortgage that you sign up for. When you sign your name on the bottom line of this deed of trust and all the documents that go with a mortgage, you have to make sure that that interest rate isn't going to go up by 2% in 3 years and you'll have a payment you can't afford. This is how the housing market in 2008 completely crashed. People signed up for a mortgage based on a negative amortization, which means they put the stuff on the back of the loan. So you're really not paying off anything. You've got a payment you can afford, but it was an arbitrary payment. It really wasn't based on real financial smartness. And so then when the interest that you signed up for, which was temporary or introductory, and your loan recast itself 3 years after you bought the house, they added in $1,500 worth of principal and they raised your interest rate by 2%, thereby going from a payment of probably $1,200 to $1,400 a month that you and your family could afford to a $3,500 payment that you could not afford, plus you have to pay property tax and interest. And in 2008, that's why millions of people walked away from their houses. They were suddenly upside down in their house, which means you owe more than your home is worth. That's not a place you want to be. A lot of times you can absolutely weather the real estate market, or if you're in your home for the long term and you have a payment that you can afford for the long term. Now, people usually balk at 30-year interest, 30-year mortgages, but in a 30-year mortgage, as long as there are no loopholes that say you have a prepayment penalty and you have like a balloon payment, or that you got an interest-only loan for 5 years and then you have to refinance. And then when you refinance, you're in a bad market and the bank won't refinance you. So you know, typically your lender wants to see an investment by you in your own home. So they want 20%. They would prefer 30%, that you put 30% down of your own money into your new home. And then they'll finance 70% because they figure the market's not going to drop more than 30% and their investment is protected. That's how it works. So you need to read every single fine print in your loan documents so that you don't make a mistake and in 3 years you're aced out of your house, the market crashes and you can't sell it. I want to tell you that it is a myth that renting means you're a loser. We got to stop stuff like that. You need to buy a home when you can afford it, when it's at the right price, and you will not get knocked out of your home in 3 to 5 years because of the changing rates on your house mortgage. Now, we've gone through some tax changes, and I do small tax returns. Every single person that I have in my life that owns a home for whom I do a tax return, their house did not factor into their tax return at all. Everything for your home ends up on a Schedule A, and you can fill out that Schedule A, and we can go into depth on, I do this more on my website, robindavinci.com, is that all of those expenses that you put in, interest is capped, property tax is capped. We put in all those numbers and your standard deduction was more. So all of these people who own homes, they come to me and they say, wait a minute, I bought a home to save on taxes and now nothing's being saved. Now, it's way more complicated than that, but unfortunately, it's the truth. Now, when you see interest rates climbing up and creeping up, the price of houses will go down. And the reason is that people can afford the less size of a payment. They can only afford a smaller payment. Now, if you're shopping your loan and your house based on a payment you can afford, you need to dig a little deeper into those reasons that you're buying a house. You need to also analyze, will this house in the next 3 to 5 years save me money? Am I buying a house in an unstable market and I'm paying too much for it? It's so often the case that you want to buy low and sell high, which means that then someone's coming into a seller's market and when you bought yours in a buyer's market. So high interest rates on mortgages usually means a buyer's market. Low interest rates on houses, low interest rates by the lender usually means a seller's market. It's rather simplistic, but that's the case. So right now it's a seller's market. And if you are just on the fringe of being able to afford a house, you need to go several steps below just, oh, I can afford, $2,200 a month in a payment, and I've got just this amount of money for a down payment. So those two things together, if you are just on the border, I'm telling you, you will struggle because once you get into a home, you've got termites, you've got a broken heater, like what is that? A water heater, a broken water heater. You've got cracked tile or your garage door breaks or you need new windows. So you need to be well capitalized when you buy your house. You can't go in by the skin of your teeth and then hope that that house gives you back money in your taxes. So there's a lot going on in the real estate market. And the fact that houses are so high during COVID was because the interest rate was like 2.25%. I'm going to give you, just before I wrap this up, what happened to me. In 1986, bought a house. The interest rate was 16.25%. The payment was well over $3,000, even though the house that I bought was a bargain. Then that was in the middle of the Reagan years. Probably nothing to do with the president himself anyway. Then what happened is the housing market started to raise as the interest rate went down. And the last refinance I was able to do on the house was at 6%. So my payment dropped so much, even with property tax involved. So all of those things go into the calculation. So please, when someone's saying to you, why aren't you in a house yet? Why are you throwing your money away on rent? Sit them down with the three simple facts. It's a seller's market, so the interest rate is low, and you would have to buy a property that is at its peak in a market that you don't think is going to stay stable. So what you want to do is you want to make your point and you want to say, yes, but on my Schedule A, I did the calculation and none of the things that I will put into the house or pay for the house will change the fact that our standard deduction will be higher. So give them a little bit back of the intelligence around buying a home. It's not always the soundest thing to buy a home in a seller's market. Some people have infinite money apparently and can do that. But if you're not one of those people, please listen to what I'm saying and do some more study so that you don't get caught up in the seller's market and buying a house for way too much money. And I will tell you, the market the housing market crashes every 7 to 12 years. So if you're buying your home to stay in for 30 years, you'll probably survive the whole thing. But if you're investing in a property because you think it's going to stay high or go higher, I have many stories to tell you where that isn't true. Now, I'm not trying to be negative. I believe everybody, the American dream is to buy a home. So don't get me wrong, but go into a home in the right place at the right time with the right price and the right interest rate. That's more important than just getting into a home because your family thinks you're throwing money away on rent. That just isn't the case. Anyway, you can go to my website, robindavinci.com. I've written a book. It's called The Common Sense Guide to your money, and that triggers that you learned from your childhood. Wow, that ending was really stupid. It seems like I don't know the name of my book, so I'm going to grab a copy. Hold on. That was dead air. That wasn't very good, but you know what? I'm a realist. It's The Common Sense Guidebook to Mastering Your Money. And it's about childhood triggers. And it talks about competition in the book. It's very important. Now that looks backwards to me, but I hope it's showing to you. And at robindavinci.com, I've got lots of videos and advice. So like and subscribe. And forget that I didn't know the name of my own book, but I wrote it last year and I actually haven't read the title. So I'm going to say it again. The Common Sense Guidebook to Mastering Your Money. And on Amazon, it is bundled with Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Dave Ramsey's books. So it is being read. So it has some good advice in there, not necessarily about real estate, but about how to decide how to spend your money. So, hey, it's an afternoon. The sun is up. We're trying to come out of COVID. I don't want you to make mistakes with your cash, your credit score, and your credit cards and getting into a mortgage you can't afford. Remember that credit score is really the key to the new world opening up and to your purchases of a house. So get that credit score looked at. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great night. Sleep well whenever you're watching this, with breakfast, whatever it is. Take good care because I care. I'm a boomer. I care. Thanks.